Okay, welcome back. Pathik Gandotra is with us, partner at Dron Capital Advisors. Pathik, good to have you with us here on the program. Thank you for joining us. You know, before we took that break earlier, we were talking about spirits and wine and all the other stuff. You were a big, yeah. So I thought so, but you were an investor. You bet early on Sula, and you kind of sort of stayed with it for some time. But I think you're out of it now. So tell us what went wrong, because I think Prakash Diwan earlier was with us and he was saying, well, look at Sula, it's come down to interesting levels now. Just your thoughts.
No, it's just that the growth trajectory of the company that we had imagined, they did not meet those expectations, because the wine story in India is actually for real. I mean, there is a strong outlook towards premiumization in alcohol, and it'll be largely towards wines as well. And so we thought that it's the biggest brand in India in wines, and with the distribution and with actually a lot of back end covered in terms of acreage to grow grapes, and a good process and good tasting wines, and the next generation also not taking to wine in a serious way. So it looked like a very kind of a secular growth story. But I guess during sometimes execution fails, or something along the way failed, and we didn't get the numbers that we expected. I'm not negative on the stock. At an appropriate time, we'll take a relook at it again.
But have you been tracking sort of conference calls? Have you been following what the management has been saying?
Yeah, they are. I heard him on your show.
I remember, and I'm just paraphrasing, not exactly what they told us when they were on last. They kind of said premiumization is still very much on as a trend, but they're now also going to focus on some of the other wines, and they're also now focusing on distribution in a big way. Go on, Pathik.
Correct. So let them do that, and then we'll see. I mean, it's not about, there's a statement of intent and there's a statement of execution. We are a bit circumspect about their execution. So let the thing actually happen. Maybe we'll buy it a bit more expensive from here, but only once we see visible evidence of the fact that they are doing actually what they are saying.
And just to add on to what he said FY26 will be better than FY25. So we'll have to track that.
Better than 25. Got that. Pathik, the other one, right, which is maybe will once again come back into focus in some way with, you must have read these reports around FTA talks starting again, restarting, is textiles. I mean, right there, center story. And Gokuldas has been something that you've bet on for a long time. Again, how are you viewing the opportunity stocks? Of course, everything is sold off, and so is Gokuldas and other textile names. But road from here, according to you?
Let me speak about the sector in general rather than a specific company. All I'm saying is that, you have an opportunity of decades standing before you. There are 3 FTAs with the countries negotiating. One with a mini trade deal with the US, an FTA with UK, and possibly some years down the line, an FTA with the EU also. And the government's focus is clearly on promoting exports and clearly on promoting labor-intensive exports, and also on employment for women. So in all these themes, all the apparel makers fit beautifully. So I think this is a time, and to top that, even cyclically, the demand has recovered in the US, and order books are full. When we talk to, I track the sector very extensively. Most of these apparel makers say that their order books for next 6 to 9 months are full. Don't have capacity. Clients are coming to them, asking them for giving them orders, but they just don't have capacity. Many have even exhausted whatever they can franchise out. So it's all completely, I mean, you can't have a better environment for a stock. Stocks have corrected, that's fine.
So Amit, all of this, are there any stocks which you are eyeing in the space itself, where some companies, etc., are putting up capex? Is there anything on your radar?
It's not a very capital intensive industry, apparel. You put in, I mean, it's not too much of capex, but there's, for example, a company like Pearl Global, Gokuldas itself. I don't know about the others, but these 2 companies, at least I know, have expanded capacity and are doing it. Pearl Global does it a bit more in Bangladesh, but also India. So I think as a true pure Indian player, I think Gokuldas is the one which stands out. But the point I'm making is that the sector itself is going to go through a transformation. I mean, I'll just put something into context, which I've been saying all along this while. If you look at the time when Bangladesh signed their FTA with the EU, the exports from the country grew from $1 billion to $33 billion in 12 years. The whole country's exports grew 33 times in 12 years. And that actually raised the per capita income of Bangladesh to levels which are comparable to India now. So, I mean, women employment, everything was there. And so the whole ecosystem was built. India is very strong in cotton. We know there's raw material sources is very strong. And so, and plus, you know, the US is now less amenable to importing textiles from China, at least the cotton ones. And so there, if you look at everything, it's just falling in beautifully for the sector. So I guess stocks should move up. I mean, the correction notwithstanding, I mean, everything is corrected. But from here on, I think you're sitting on a huge opportunity.
Right. You know, the argument on the other side is also valid. When the Trans-Pacific Pact was actually broken, people thought that there would be a lot of opportunity coming to India. Unfortunately, that went to countries like Vietnam and Bangladesh itself. So let's see how this really plays out from here on. But are you focusing on it only from an export opportunity, or are there some domestic plays that you like out here as well?
Yeah, so see, what's happening is that the market is corrected fairly significantly. You are down to sub 20 multiples 1 year forward. Earning expectations were modest, and the market has performed on those lines. Even from here on, earning expectations are not very, very strong. So I think it will not be very difficult for the market to meet those earnings expectations. Capex growth, the government Capex is on revival path. You've cut taxes, which will spur consumption. So all these are themes which will, I think, play out over the next next year or so. So basically, consumption as a theme, consumer finance as a theme, all these hotels, for example, all these are themes which will play out. The government Capex based themes, you know, a lot of the stocks have become very, very expensive. So it might take a bit more time for the stocks to correct and find the levels before the fresh rally begins. But I'm pretty strong on all these themes, and so yeah.
Pathik, consumer finance. What kind of names?
Take Bajaj Finance, for example. I mean, that's good. And I'm saying the consumer finance business as even for a bank, consumer finance business we should do well. Microfinance, for example, it's not strictly consumer finance in that sense, but microfinance has also been through its cycle. I think it's nearing towards the end of its cycle. So in a few quarters from here, that might also become pretty interesting to look at.
As they say, sometimes being early is as good as being wrong. Is it very early in sectors like microfinance, or you think now's the time to start looking at it seriously, maybe nibbling in?
No, it's still very early. I would still wait for at least the earnings fall or the provisions to peak and start falling. I mean, you might buy it a bit more expensive. You know, we never try and catch the bottom anyway. So once we see evidence of all this thesis playing out, then is what we do. And to the other gentleman's point, sometime back on the treaties he'd mentioned. So as a part of the whole country may not benefit because of the FTA. I mean, I don't know if we change our ecosystem completely, if companies reform, but at least the few large players like Shahi Exports, for example, Ardwind, Raymond's, PG, Pearl Global, Gopal, so all these companies can benefit. They are large corporations. They're not the way the sector has changed in the way the businesses were organized. From privately owned, family-run businesses, a lot of cash transactions in these businesses, to now pretty more organized and corporate businesses.
Okay, and in terms of consumption, which you briefly mentioned, Pathik, what broad areas to look for opportunities in?
I think discretionary consumption is good. I mean, kitchen appliances, home appliances can be a sector which one can look at. Stocks are very, very well beaten down. I mean, it also times in beautifully with the real estate cycle, where there's been a spurt in real estate demand. Homes are getting built, and now it's time to furnish them. So I think that part of appliances should do well. And so I think I would see a meaningful upsurge in demand here. Going to the next Diwali and all, I think you should see a meaningful upsurge.
What kind of, what kind of names, Pathik?
Names, it's a usual thing. I mean, I don't want to take names. I mean, you can take any consumer durable company. Bajaj Electricals, there is Stuffcraft, there is Havells, Polycab into home appliances, and all these companies. I mean, you can find your players. I mean, we are very stock focused, so I don't look at every player in that sense. Yeah.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us, and good interesting chat, and a bunch of things really coming through. Well, we'll take a quick commercial break here. Some good news for our viewers. India's business news leader is now a click away. Introducing CNBC-TV18's all-new app. Get instant access to breaking news, in-depth articles, and financial world updates at your fingertips. Download the CNBC-TV18 app now from the Apple Store or Google Play Store, or you can just scan the QR code on your screen right now, which Mangalam is trying to do.